Imagine walking into a camera store just 4 years from now and seeing a massive wall covered in nearly 30 brand new, mind-blowing pieces of camera glass that do not even exist today. It sounds like an absolute pipe dream, right? Well, Nikon is planning to do exactly that, and the entire photography community is absolutely losing its mind trying to do the math. The internal corporate rumors and recent briefing data are pointing to something completely unprecedented. Nikon wants to flood the market with a massive tidal wave of fresh optics to hit a staggering target of over 80 native lenses by the 2030 financial year. When you break that down, we are talking about an average of 7 completely fresh optical designs being engineered, manufactured, and shipped every single 12 months. Let that sink in for a moment. To a lot of people, this sounds like an absolute logistical nightmare, and many seasoned photographers are calling absolute BS on the entire timeline. Honestly, it is completely fair to be skeptical. We have seen camera companies make massive promises before only to let them fizzle out when real-world supply chain issues hit. I will personally believe it when I see the glass sitting on retail shelves. But if you look closely at the official data trailing out of recent corporate briefings, you quickly realize that Nikon isn't just wishing for a miracle here. They are actively and structurally re-engineering their entire global manufacturing pipeline to force this insane goal into reality. To understand why people are so shocked, we have to look at exactly where the numbers stand right now. Because the community is tracking this glass count obsessively. During recent major industry trade events, representatives from Nikon USA openly confirmed a massive milestone. The mirrorless Z system has officially hit 50 distinct native lenses. And to keep the data clean, that number completely excludes teleconverters from the master tally. Reaching 50 lenses is a huge achievement. But if you look backward at the manufacturing velocity since the system debuted in late 2018, the rollout pace has been a total psychological roller coaster for users. Nikon kicked things off with just 3 basic pieces of glass to launch the system. The next year, they jumped up to 7 releases, followed by 6 the year after that. Then came the absolute golden era of 2021, where they shattered expectations by shoving 10 brand new lenses into mass production. It felt like they were completely unstoppable. But then the momentum hit a brick wall. If you look at the last 2 years, 2024 and 2025 have been 2 of the quietest, most stagnant periods on record for the Z mount, yielding only a tiny handful of minor releases. Because of this massive drought, a lot of casual creators and critics started talking trash online. They loudly claimed that the slow pace meant the Z mount ecosystem was completely losing steam, running out of money, or giving up on innovation. But they are looking at the wrong clues. Seasoned supply chain leakers over at Nikon Rumors are pointing out a much more fascinating theory. They believe this exact 2-year lull suggests Nikon has been intentionally building up a massive head of steam behind closed doors. Think about it like a giant rubber band being pulled back. They haven't stopped engineering. They have been holding back finished designs, waiting for the perfect strategic moment to dump a literal tidal wave of glass into the ecosystem. To truly appreciate the cosmic scale of what Nikon is aiming for, we have to step back and look at the broader cutthroat competitive market. If you pull up the primary data on the Canon USA site today, they are currently sitting at 55 mirrorless lenses once you subtract their teleconverters and those highly niche dual fisheye virtual reality optics. Meanwhile, if you look over at the Sony camera channel, their native E-mount library lists a massive 74 pieces of glass. Sony has enjoyed a massive head start in the mirrorless war, and they have used it to build an absolute fortress of options. This means if Nikon actually follows through on this aggressive 4-year push, their mirrorless system won't just match their historic rivals. It will actively blast past Sony's current library by a significant margin. It would turn Nikon from an underdog into the absolute king of mirrorless selection. Of course, we have to keep things honest here. Some skeptics will immediately point out that Nikon absolutely loves to cheat the math by counting simple cosmetic housing variations as entirely separate, brand new products. For instance, in their official master list, they count the standard 28mm and 40mm compact primes completely separate from their vintage-inspired special edition counterparts. But if you tear those lenses apart, the internal glass elements and the optical performance are 100% identical. Even if we strip away all of those duplicate cosmetic variants to keep the data completely honest, the real-world manufacturing target that remains is still incredibly ambitious. It still requires a level of production speed that the photo industry has never seen before. This brings up the ultimate question that every smart photographer is asking right now. How on earth do you suddenly scale up precision glass manufacturing on this scale when the entire global supply chain is facing massive economic headwinds, inflation, and material shortages? This is the exact point where the authoritative corporate data locks into place and completely changes the narrative from internet gossip to absolute fact. Nikon didn't just write a press release. They just broke ground on a massive state-of-the-art corporate expansion at their Tochigi Nikon subsidiary in Odawara City. We are not talking about a small upgrade here. This is a massive 25 billion yen investment, which translates to roughly $160 million. They are using this massive pile of cash to build two giant interconnected production facilities spanning over 20,000 square meters of pure manufacturing floor space. According to official corporate construction filings tracked by major international outlets like Petapixel and Capture magazine, this facility is being built for one specific revolutionary purpose. It is designed to house a brand new highly automated mixed-flow production line. This architectural setup is a total game changer because it allows advanced automated logistics systems to instantly pivot production on a dime. On a single manufacturing floor, the machines can switch seamlessly between making high-end consumer camera lenses, massive industrial semiconductor lithography optics, and ultra-precise microscope components for medical research. Construction is already several months underway, and the entire complex is officially locked in for a completion date around the summer of 2027. This proves that Nikon is deliberately bringing immense optical capacity back to Japanese soil because they know their legacy glass factories are completely capped out. They literally cannot hit the 80 lens milestone without this factory. It is a massive financial gamble, but it shows they are all in. With all of this futuristic glass on the horizon, it forces us to look at how we take photos right now. Are you still relying on your old trusty F-mount DSLR glass via the FTZ adapter for your daily driver setup? Or has the native S-line mirrorless performance finally forced you to bite the bullet and completely swap out your older lenses? Drop a comment down below right now because the compatibility data here is actually much wilder than most people realize. If you look at how legacy glass behaves on modern mirrorless bodies, independent testing profiles from major sites like DPeerReview and OSHD show a shocking truth. Old F-mount super telephotos like the classic 400mm f/2.8 actually achieve faster autofocus acquisition and far better tracking stability when you adapt them to a modern XP7-driven mirrorless body like the Z9 or Z8 than they ever did on native flagship DSLRs like the Nikon D5. Think about how insane that is. The mirrorless brains are so smart that they make old lenses perform better than they did on the cameras they were actually built for. Plus, you suddenly get multi-axis in-body image stabilization on legacy lenses that were completely unstabilized when they were designed decades ago. So, while Nikon builds out this massive future roadmap, the legacy ecosystem is still holding down the fort incredibly well, giving photographers a perfect bridge to the future. That still leaves nearly 25 slots wide open for consumer and professional stills glass. Photographers are predicting ultra-wide high-speed primes like a 14mm or 16mm f/1.8 S-line, the long-overdue arrival of native Z-mount tilt-shift optics for architectural work, and potentially a version 2 refresh of the massive 50mm f/1.2 to make it lighter and faster. But if Nikon wants to completely break the internet, destroy the competition, and force mass system migrations from Sony and Canon, they will deliver the Holy Grail. They will give us a constant aperture 24 to 70mm f/2 or a hyperversatile 24 to 120mm f/2.8 zoom. The next 4 years are going to be an absolute gold rush for optical tech, and it is going to change the industry forever. In my absolute best opinion, this strategy is a masterclass in long-term survival. If you like the video, please subscribe to the channel, share the video with your fellow photographers, and hit the bell icon so you never miss an update on this crazy optical race.